'Tis the season, the most wonderful time of the year. Celebration with friends and family. It's time to pay tribute to this jolly month. So join us as we get into the Christmas spirit. You've heard of Elf on the Shelf, but this is Venom on the Shelf.
It's hard to believe now, but there was a time where Tim Allen practically ruled the world of entertainment. The huge success of his sitcom Home Improvement, as well as cult classics like Galaxy Quest and blockbuster hits like Toy Story, shot his career into the stratosphere and ensured that he would be a fixture on our screens for many years to come. And the first of his big screen successes is the 1994 Christmas classic, The Santa Claus. The film follows Scott Calvin, played by Alan, a divorced workaholic preparing to spend Christmas Eve with his son Charlie, before he accidentally causes the devastating murder of Santa Claus, leading to him stealing all of his clothes and taking over his whole job, and then his son goes around telling everyone that he's Santa Claus, leading to the court being involved, and he gets taken away from his dad at Christmas before Santa Claus gets arrested. Merry Christmas!
You killed him!
Despite this arguably being one of Tim Allen's most well-known and beloved roles, he actually wasn't the first choice to play Scott. The writers Steve Rudnick and Leo Benvenuti, who would actually go on to write the likes of Space Jam, had written the part with Bill Murray in mind, but he turned them down as he had just starred in Scrooged and didn't want to do another Christmas film.
No, it's not okay.
Chevy Chase was then offered the role, but he turned it down due to scheduling conflicts, and other considerations included Tom Hanks, Robin Williams, Mel Gibson, Kurt Russell, Jeff Daniels, Stanley Tucci, Bradley Whitford, A Fridge, John Travolta, Patrick Swayze, Jerry Seinfeld, Jeff Bridges, The Sugar Puffs Monster, Mike Myers, Rowan Atkinson, Alan Rickman, Michael Keaton, Christopher McDonald, Kermit the Frog, Rick Moranis, Harrison Ford, and Sylvester Stallone. In addition, Chris Columbus of Home Alone fame was the first choice to direct, but he was already committed to making Mrs. Doubtfire instead.
Don't even kid about a thing like that.
In the end, the script was picked up by Hollywood Pictures, a subsection of Disney, as a potential starring vehicle for Tim Allen, hoping to capitalise off of his rising popularity. But this was actually a big risk, as Allen had a criminal record stemming from an arrest for cocaine possession in 1978, and Disney had a strict no hiring ex-convicts policy. But Mr. Mosby murdering a man was completely fine. Give him a TV show. In fact, Matthew Broderick killed someone and he was given Lion King. At least they didn't have Dan Schneider?
What does that mean?
However, the company chose to make an exception for Alan due to his success with Home Improvement, and he was finally cast. So for any ex-convicts out there, for all of your crimes to be completely forgiven and for you to be given an entirely fresh slate, just make a hit TV show.
That's funny, I like that.
However, filming proved to be a miserable experience for him. The makeup used to turn him into Santa Claus took up to 5 hours to apply and 2 to remove. This, in addition to the fat suit that he was wearing and the hot summer weather during filming, caused him to suffer severe rashes and infections, and the suit's poor ventilation meant that he could only wear it for a maximum of 6 hours per day. You know, between this and Jim Carrey's experience making The Grinch, I'm starting to think that Christmas films starring beloved comedians are just a little bit cursed.
Wow. Really?
The Santa Claus was released on November the 11th, 1994 and was a massive hit, grossing $190 million worldwide, nearly 9 times its budget, and received mostly positive reviews, particularly for Alan's performance. And it's still remembered to this day as a Yuletide classic, and for catapulting its lead actor further into stardom. However, the film does also have a slightly amusing bit of controversy surrounding it. In the original theatrical release, Scott makes a sarcastic remark which included the line,
1-800-SPANK-ME.
During the film's release, a woman from Cleveland, Ohio called the supposedly fictional number for her curious grandchildren, discovering that it was in fact a real phone sex line. However, it wasn't until 1997 when Disney received numerous complaints from parents whose children had called the number and racked up huge phone bills, at which point the line for future releases, even purchasing the phone number to disconnect the service, and all future television releases have edited the line to be 1-800-POUND-ME. However, older prints of the film with the original line can still be found.
Well, isn't that a pretty picture?
Of course, they had to also get some Home Improvement jokes in there too, from him looking disapprovingly at a tool belt, to him whacking his head, to the famous grunt, and the fire extinguisher gag.
That is exactly why you want a high-quality fire extinguisher right in the kitchen.
Hell, this truck driver is even from Home Improvement. As always, Alan is hilarious, and despite being a shit dad, he is quite charming and amusing. What I love about this film is that it's not just a dumbed down family film. It actually tackles some interesting messages and goes down a dark route at points. We see his son starting to disbelieve in Santa Claus, and Scott tries his best to keep the magic alive. Also, something I had never noticed before is an elf can be seen in Charlie's class, which shows that they were actually keeping tabs on them for quite a while.
It's a good idea.
But Charlie does have some great dialogue as he questions the logic of Santa being real, especially to his stepdad Neil, who's a psychiatrist. It's hilarious.
Have you ever seen a reindeer fly?
Yes.
Well, I haven't.
And it's pretty damn funny when Scott literally sees Santa's sleigh on his roof and physically watches the man disappear in front of his very own eyes and still tries to come up with a logical explanation.
Reindeer on the roof. That is hard to explain.
And they do use some potential God metaphors, which is quite interesting.
Sometimes believing in something means you just believe in it.
Seeing isn't believing. Believing is seeing. Kids don't have to see this place to know that it's here. They just know.
And you know I love a good pun.
The Rose Such a Ladder Company.
What's that?
I don't know. I think it's the North Pole.
Although they use the cliche of the dad not knowing what the hell to do with his own kid when the mum isn't around, I've always hated this. You know, we are able to sit and talk with them. Although this is a pretty clever fake out of the Christmas dinner. But want to hear a line that's aged like milk?
Everybody likes Denny's. It's an American institution.
This one's great though.
Flying!
It's okay, I'm used to it. I lived through the 60s.
The main question I have is, how the hell has this Santa never been caught before? He literally only gets found out when Charlie hears him land on his roof. What, no night worker has ever been up and about and saw or heard him? There's no insomniacs, nobody out on the streets, no crackheads. I mean, listen to how loudly he comes down their chimney. And why do the parents never question it when presents magically appear by the tree every year? I also question if this fall really would kill a man. I mean, surely the snow and the puffy outfit would break a lot of the fall. Is he made out of glass? Look at these flawless 1990s green screens. They're masterful. Scott also seems to accept his fate pretty damn quickly, doesn't he? Well, shit, guess I'm Santa now.
You have got to be kidding. Come on, look at the size of this thing.
Oh, now you sound like my fiancé. And Tim Allen being a dickhead Santa is fucking hilarious.
You're supposed to drink the milk.
Look, I am lactose intolerant, and I am just about this close to taking all those presents back to the chimney with me.
Especially when he corrects people every time they call him Santa.
Santa?
Scott Calvin.
The set of the North Pole looks great. It's such a charming and magical setting. But my question is, we later find out each Santa has to have a Mrs. Claus. So what happened to the dead fella's wife? Was this his first night on the job? He had to have found a wife. And thanks to this film, kids everywhere misspelled the word clause for years, but it is a pretty clever setup.
Oh, you mean the guy that fell off my roof?
No, not Santa Claus the person, Santa Claus the clause. A clause, as in the last line of a contract.
The humour is just so wonderful.
Come on, a list. He's making a list.
Checking it twice.
And it's quite sad when he says that he doesn't believe, and you see all of the faces of the heartbroken elves. Although, in the Santa Claus 3, we find out that if you don't want to be Santa, you can just go to the Hall of Snow Globes and reverse time. So, this is his first night, like no harm would be done. Why didn't Bernard just say, oh yeah, you don't want to be Santa, that's fine, come this way, you can go back to your normal lives.
1,200 years.
That's right.
You know, I must say, you look pretty good for your age.
Thanks, but I'm seeing someone in wrapping.
Wait, what?
I'm seeing someone in wrapping.
So if someone's working in wrapping, how come none of the presents are wrapped? But shit, Charlie gets over it wicked quickly too. Yeah, I went to the North Pole, whatevs. But was there really much point in Scott even having Charlie over for the night when they just pick him up immediately the next morning anyway? The main conflict doesn't quite work. Charlie's mum becomes really concerned because her son genuinely believes that he went to the North Pole. What? Well, this is outrageous! A child with imagination! That's it! Ship him off to boarding school this instant!
And we are very concerned about this.
Concerned about what?
I mean, what was so bad about Charlie believing in Santa?
It's a sweet story of a father and son. neglect and custody papers. There is quite a touching moment where Scott can't bring himself to tell Charlie that there is no Santa Claus, before he wakes up fat and becomes the butt of everyone's jokes, because fat people are funny!
God, your weight.
Stung by a bee, Scott?
A big bee.
You're starting to look like the Pillsbury Doughboy.
And you should diet.
The 90s! Although the moment Santa's sleigh gets mentioned, Tim's face lights up and it's fucking hilarious. I have the same reaction anytime Santa's sleigh is brought up.
Yeah, but look at my hair. It's turning gray.
Oh, it's middle age, buddy. It happens. And with that body, you should be thankful you have hair.
He's right, you know. Oh, and his heartbeat is jingle bells. Okay, that's pretty funny. But the fact that he has multiple children sit on his lap and his ex and her new partner don't call the cops is the biggest crime of the entire movie. I mean, surely he could just demonstrate his powers right in front of them to show them that he is the real Santa. All he has to do is shave his face and show them that it grows straight back instantly. It's not that hard. But I love that it gets this dark for a kid's film. Charlie gets taken away from his dad at Christmas! Of course, we get a scene where the parents explain why they stopped believing in Santa when they didn't get the present that they wanted, but they never explain why Santa didn't give them those presents, considering he's real in this universe. Kinda dumb, Santa's a dick. The thing is, Tim Allen does usually tend to always play Tim Allen, but once he's fat and has this makeup on, I completely forget that it's him. He's great in this. He ends up kidnapping Charlie and taking him to the North Pole, but Charlie's mum has the least convincing scream for help ever.
Charlie!
That's your reaction to your son being kidnapped? Charlie!
It's a new fabric. Completely flame retardant. It's light, yet durable.
And you can wear the jumpsuit under your coat and pants.
So, he'll still catch on fire. It's only the undergarments that are flame retardant. And considering all of his magical powers, he can't simply evade the police? It's a family film where Santa Claus gets arrested for Christmas. It also does my head in that the acronym's ELFs, but the word is elves. But him being interrogated by the cops will never not be funny.
Name? Père Noël. Babo Natale. Père Nicole.
Papa Gijo.
Wait, where did the reindeer go? And if they're staking out the house, how do they spot the elves landing but not the sleigh? But hey, good old 90s slapstick. You also react far too slowly to Charlie returning home. What the fuck? Your son is home! Bloody move! And it's truly a touching moment between the two with some great dialogue.
You gave me a wonderful gift, Charlie. Listen, a wonderful gift. You believed in me when nobody else did.
It's a good thing the cops have the slowest down response time ever during all of this. Oh, and they're both convinced that he actually is Santa by looking at him. Yeah, I guess they're related to Joseph Gordon-Levitt in The Dark Knight Rises. Although Neil's reaction to Bernard the Elf is pretty funny.
He's sucking us into his delusions.
But
Have I ever steered you wrong?
you've met him twice! It's just a fun, charming film. A wonderful family movie with a great lead, an adorable supporting performance, and just a loving little adventure. A true must-watch every Christmas.